Okay, first things first, making this video made me question my own sanity in the fact that why would I choose to chase down a bunch of videos of game clips that I know emotionally hurt me or upset me in the past. But anyway, with that being said, hey guys, welcome back to the Geek Box. Today we're going to be looking at a variety of, well, my 10 saddest moments and moments that really broke our hearts. I titled it in games. One great thing that games can do when they're a really good game is get you really emotionally invested in the characters and the story, and I think there are some games that just really abuse that to get to us, but it does make for some of the greatest storytelling you can get. So today we're going to do a list on it. Before we get into the list, please remember as well, this channel is sponsored by Dubby. You can use the code down below to get 10% off. Use the code TheGeekBox at any time for your clean energy drink choices, and of course, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all the latest content on the channel. And if you enjoy this video somehow through the misery, hit that like button as well to support the channel, as it helps with everything on YouTube. Anyway, that's enough of me prattling, let's get into the video. Yes, we have to start off with one of the most infamous versions of just sad storytelling that's been in every single list like this for the longest time. Of course, it's Final Fantasy VII, and most of it is circled around Aerith's death. There's other things in the game, obviously, that are very emotional points, but this is the pinnacle part, and then obviously seeing Cloud struggle after this happens as well. But there's a reason this is on every single list. It just got so many people. You spend all that time invested in building up the characters and watching how Cloud changes, and obviously him realising his feelings towards her. So, as it was so rare back then as well to have a main character be killed off in a storyline, nobody expected this to happen when they were playing with it, and so it perfectly set itself up to just really punch people right in the gut. Majora's Mask. Now, I remember as a kid playing this, and I was always under the side of I loved Ocarina of Time. I enjoyed Majora's Mask, but Majora's Mask did something really different than what people expected at the time. It made it really creepy instead of being so upbeat like most of Ocarina of Time was. And when you get to the final day, they changed the music. And then you start talking to the townsfolk and start realising how many of them are either in denial, or a lot of them are in acceptance of the fact that they're about to die because the moon's going to crash down on them. And I remember the one thing that really got me as a kid that spooked with it was when you realise that there were actually people that were drugging their children with potions, etc. So they'd be asleep, so they weren't there to be scared and see the final moments come down. And for the game and the target audience that I had, I felt like there was a lot of actual very adult things they approached about accepting things and facing death and stuff like that. So this game really did screw with my head and my feelings when I was a kid, so I had to put this onto the list.
A new actor in our play.
What a gem this game was, Shadow Hearts. I absolutely loved it, and I didn't actually realise until much later down the line that there were so few people that actually knew about this game, which really spun me. But you play the story, you've got Yuri who falls in love with Alice, and throughout it they fall in love with each other, but Yuri's soul is damned because his whole power is that he can transform into demons, but he has to have the demons as part of himself. And to cut a long story short, Alice gives up her own soul to save Yuri's. Now, the ending of the game literally gives this whole progression of the storyline, gets you caught up in it, and then you can almost forget until the very end, when she falls asleep on Yuri's shoulder on the train at the end of the game, and then it gives you the clip of the mask coming back and claiming her soul, and it just tells you that she went to sleep and never woke up, which at the time was a bit of a wrencher because the storyline had got you so involved with the characters to then suddenly realise that, yeah, it has passed and she's died. It's a smack. Now, there is a way of saving Alice's soul, but the way of doing it is so stretched out and there are so many things you have to do, and it doesn't give you any clues to the fact that how to do it either. You pretty much have to just figure it out, and this was before you could jump on and just Google things, etc. So your only other bet was to find the official guide, which you had to order from abroad as well. But this game really, I remember this, it put you through such an emotional roller coaster, and with the bad ending with Alice dying at the end as well, it was just such a punch in the gut.
Snake, listen to me. She didn't betray the United States. No, far from it. She was a hero who died for her country. She carried out her mission knowing full well what was going to happen. Self-sacrifice. Because that was her duty.
Metal Gear 3, potentially the greatest Metal Gear there ever was. Probably play-wise, definitely, I'd have to say. Battles between Metal Gear Solid 1 and 3 for me. But damn, the story this game told. I mean, the story was great, but this whole ending sequence after you killed the boss, and then you find out through the tape, etc., the fact that she wasn't a traitor, she served her country. Because things changed, she had to sacrifice herself and be forever known as a traitor instead of a war hero just to preserve the peace. This game latched you in to everything that was happening and then just took you on this emotional roller coaster, which ended with obviously seeing the truth about the boss and seeing the pain that Big Boss felt as transforming from Snake into Boss. It's just, especially as a fan of the Metal Gear series, I think when you were wrapped in the whole story to begin with, to watch how this all unveiled, it was just a proper heart churner, seeing just as well knowing this is what changed Big Boss to turn him into the Big Boss that would know in the future of the storyline, and how this whole ideology was broken through this one event of betrayal and lies, and obviously the boss's whole idea of the life they were supposed to follow was just so difficult for them to follow because of the choices she made. And if you're a really big fan of the series, I've seen a lot of people react to this end part, and it broke all of them.
In the army, someone like him to handle our top secret sneaking missions for us. A man who combines the qualities of a soldier and an agent.
The boss is...
Modern Warfare is a game that knows how to throw things at you. I mean, obviously the controversy and the shock that was in these games between the nuclear bomb scene, obviously no Russian, which made the news because it was so much of a twist, Makarov's whole storyline, blowing Sakiev's arm off. There was just so much in this game that twisted things, but the moment that really was the emotional jerker, well, this sums it up itself.
Makarov knows Yuri.
Oh no, 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 no! So! No, no, no!
Please!
So!
You have to go now!
Get off me!
No, I think for me it was not only the fact that Soap dies and you played as him through the majority of this, and you followed his story from scratch if you played all the games, but it was watching that this was the thing that finally broke Captain Price after all the sarcasm and the coolness and just the way he works. It was just that final straw that pushed players over the edge as well.
Soap trusted you. I thought I could too. So why in bloody hell does Makarov know you?
Remember our promise.
Loki will go. Atreus. Atreus remains.
Okay, let's be clear. God of War was supposed to be about smashing the crap out of everything and killing things way bigger than you were, or when you were ridiculously outnumbered in complete violent rage. So, I have the question of what right did Ragnarok have to make this game so emotional overall? If you followed through God of War and you cared about the games, this game beat the crap out of people emotionally. And obviously this scene at the end of Kratos showing how much he's changed and saying goodbye to just so Atreus can go off on his own journey, everything through this game was just non-stop. I mean, even how Thor's story broke down and obviously being treated as an abusive father in Odin and all that, they ripped people with this game. And if you go and look up some of the reactions to this scene that other streamers had, because it crushed people.
Never thought it would end like this, huh? Huh, Maria? Tom!
No! Gears of War. You gave us so many different moments that really tweaked people's heartstrings, but the second one really put it into overkill. Earlier in the game, setting the bar was the fact that finding Dom's wife and obviously just going through all the emotions that he went through and the reactions, leading to this scene where he sacrifices himself to save the unit with Mad World playing. There's a reason this is famous as a sad scene, because it was absolutely heartbreaking when you played through the games to see a main character get taken out in that way, listening to Marcus break and obviously screaming to him because he's just scared. This whole scene, if you want to tell the story of creating a sad moment that's a plot twist or a story turn, this is how you do it.
Nothing you can do! Stop
Get
it!
off me! God
Stop
damn it!
it!
Let me get him out of there!
It's okay, Marcus. It's okay. Come on. We gotta go now. Your father still needs us.
Metal Gear Solid 4, now I could probably do a good 20-30 minutes on this game alone on this topic, but for now we'll keep it brief. This game was basically a nostalgia trip for anyone that played the other Metal Gear games. It took you through all the characters, the history, concluding characters, and you had people that you followed for years throughout these games, and of course the main thing being the story of Solid Snake himself. Then just as it gets to the peak and you think that Snake's dead, and obviously he's sacrificed himself, you find out that he's alive, and then it brings the spirits back up again, and then they brought in the ending with Big Boss, of course, and then you got to have Big Boss's story concluded properly, and then you got to see all the pain that he suffered and everything that went on, and it's showing all the reflections from Metal Gear 3, and then of course capped up with his death. So this game for Metal Gear fans was just the ultimate emotional roller coaster, because everything you experienced in Metal Gear 3, as we had early in the list, gets amplified and followed up in this game, along with all the stories of Snake, how Otacon's ending comes, and his suffering as well after losing EE. Everything that's emotional about the series gets encapsulated in this one game with a whole lot of cutscenes. Now I know Final Fantasy games have always had their ups and downs, and there's been other emotional moments like we covered earlier with 7, but 10 being very upbeat, even though there's very dark theme to the whole game. Back when I played this the first time, I never expected it to put me through the trip it did. The whole thing of finding out that Tidus was a memory as well, and that when you defeat the final boss he would be erased from the world as part of that. And obviously this happened to Auron, who was like my favourite character earlier on. This game seemed to decide in the last hour to hour and a half of gameplay to just continually, one thing after another, absolutely beat the crap out of you emotionally, until you got to this end part where he was being pulled away and Yuna finally says that she loves him, and they have to accept the fact that he's gone. I mean, obviously the events of X2 changed that, but at the time it was just punch, 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 until by the time you got to the end of the game, you just felt drained. And I think for a Final Fantasy game, we didn't deserve to be beaten that much for it, but they did an amazing job with the storytelling of making you care for the characters so much that this scene really meant something.
I love you.
Well, at least it ain't your job.
Ah, shut up, Arthur.
Yeah, your job's starting the fights. It ain't winning them.
I can scrap, Arthur. I'm just no good at homework.
I can see.
Besides, what do you care, Englishman? You've got no time for me.
And bringing us round to the game that led to this video. So I had to put both Red Dead Redemptions in here because Red Dead Redemption 1 was a trip. And, well, of course, that was enough to make a lot of people feel gutted at the end of the game after following John's journey. So you'd expect something similar for Red Dead Redemption 2 following the journey of Arthur Morgan. Now, obviously, spoiler alert, if you haven't finished this game, turn this off at this point because I'm going to be talking about the whole game to the ending. But the whole story of Arthur being such a amazingly created character that you were just drawn into his story, and just end up loving the character so much. I've seen so many videos about people talking about why he's such an amazing character, or the best character ever, and things like that. But the whole story behind his turmoil with Dutch, the breaking down of the gang, how the different people went their different ways and changed their mentalities and their moral codes, or those that stuck with their codes, and of course the overture of Arthur's sickness and watching him degrade as his sickness took over to eventually start killing him, along with the whole rat in the gang, the Micah storyline, etc. And the scene that's playing right now, Arthur's last ride, going through all its memories, and with the beautiful songs the way it is playing, they absolutely just Rockstar outdid themselves on this game. Not just with the game mechanics and everything, and also the game being so good played into it, but they made you love all the characters, especially Arthur, and watching him slowly die instead of suddenly like they did with John, I think was just like the biggest kicker of them all. Watching him change and watching him have regret and try and be better, but realizing that he'll never be able to redeem himself, and he's not looking for redemption, he's just trying to be a better person. They played this perfect. This scene absolutely cracked me when I played it. I mean, it's the one that pushed me over the edge. So for me, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 especially, but with the two of them together, it's just the most emotional trip that they could have given us.
For sure.
Well guys, this has been a longer video than usual, and thank you if you stuck here to the end of it. It's appreciated, and obviously the longer viewership etc. is a massive help to get YouTube to promote my videos. Obviously I'd love to know what your saddest moments were, the moments that got you, in the comments down below. I know there'll be a lot that I didn't mention that will be personal to you guys, just because they're not games etc. that I would have personally played or had a connection to, but love to see down below. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all out there.